In fact, he said it's very questionable whether a man can even know himself unless he knows the God that he serves. Some words of wisdom there. Part of it is we don't always value what we don't recognize and what we don't hold dear. And sometimes we miss that value. But God sees that value in us. We have to know that God values us, for we are His people. And in very pastoral terms, we are the sheep of His pasture. I have a friend I want to share with you today. Some of you just thought this was my insecurities coming out. This is Teddy. This little teddy bear is over 30 years old. It belongs to a child who used to sleep with it, hug it, play with it, throw it, drag it around by its arm, at night sit there with a thumb in his mouth and rub either the paw or the ear. In fact, I think the ears, the silk ears and the paws have been replaced 2 or 3 times. Teddy's got even the fabric showing. Now, if one of you received this for Christmas, or if your child or your grandchild received this for Christmas, wouldn't they think they were cheated? You gave me that? There's no value in it, is there? Except to the child who is now full grown, who owned it, who dragged it around, who lived with it, who made it his own. And I can tell you, this is very, very valuable to that child. In fact, as the MasterCard commercial says, it's priceless. In fact, if he knew that I had it out now, he'd probably wonder what was going on. You don't mess with Teddy. God treats us the same way. We don't always look so good to other people. We're sometimes ragged and torn, and maybe the ears have been rubbed off, or the hair. And God looks out and He sees us, and He says, yeah, but that's mine. You are my people. You are the sheep of my pasture. You are my beloved. You are most valued. And all of us can say that. We are valued beyond measure. Listen to the words of the psalmist again. Know that the Lord is God. It is He that made us, and not we ourselves. For we are His people, and we're the sheep of His pasture. It's easy for us to look out and see other people and not value them at all and say they're just really not worth it. Because we're not seeing them through the Creator's eyes, but we should be. They have value to God. And as such, they ought to have value to us. Because God has value to us. Enter His gates with thanksgiving, and into His courts with praise. Be thankful to Him and bless His holy name. Verse 4. First part of this verse speaks of an enclosed place that has defined parameters that God has determined is His. Enter His gates. It's protected. We live in a gated community, Christians. God's gated community. Enter His gates with thanksgiving. Anytime you can enter God's gates, you ought to be giving thanks. and enter his courts with praise. The Apostle John put it this way: Then Jesus said unto them, Verily, verily, I say to you, I am the door of the sheep. It's guarded. Not just anything or anyone can come and go, but only those who count the Lord as their God, the Yahweh as their Elohim. He said, I am the door. If any man comes unto me, he shall be saved and shall go in and out and find safe pasture. That's our promise. Again, John says, I am the way. I am the truth. I am the life. And no one comes to me, no one comes into the Father except by me. I am the gate that you go in and out of. Now that may sound very restrictive, but it's also very protective. We know that God stands guard there with Jesus Christ at the gate. That no one can come in and harm or destroy or tear us away without God knowing. The wording is clear. It invites all to enter. But it's also limited to those who, because they are servants of the Lord, come with thanksgiving and with praise. And finally, the psalmist says, the Lord is good. His mercy is everlasting. His truth endures to all generations. The Lord is good, and he is the only one who is good. In fact, Matthew said in one of his stories, why do you call me good? Jesus said, there is none but one, that is God. But if you wilt enter into life, keep the commandments. Or Mark said, there is none, not one that is good, only God. The Lord is good, and he is the only one who is truly good. And it is his mercy that is everlasting. It is his truth that is everlasting. It is that goes on from generation to generation to generation. In Lamentations, now that was one of the books that those who read through the Bible said kind of repeated itself at times. But it also had some very good gems. 3rd chapter, verse 22. It is the Lord's mercies that we are not consumed, because of his compassions that never fail. Lamentations 3:23, the next verse. They are new every morning. Great is thy faithfulness. That's where we get the words for great is thy faithfulness. O God, my Father, there is no shadow of turning with thee. Thou changes not. Thy compassions, they fail not. As thou hast been, thou forever will be. We are reminded over and over and over again that God is the same yesterday, today, and tomorrow. There's no changing with God. And so the promises that he made are the promises that he keeps, that they're promises that he will fulfill. They're all there. And so in Hebrews 13, Jesus sums it all up by saying that and lets us know that he is the same, that Christ is the same, Paul says, yesterday, today, and forever. For the Lord is good. Again from Spurgeon. As you can see, I was reading the Treasuries of David, Spurgeon's commentary on the Psalms, for part of this message. Found it expiring. Spurgeon says, for the Lord is good. Now this sums up his character and contains a mass of reasons for praise. He's good, he's gracious, he's kind, he's bountiful, he's loving. God is love. And he who does not praise the